Piers Morgan, Trump debate, the verdict, and I guess a lot of people that aren't Trump supporters are going to be like, oh, how is this guy going to cope about this now? Well, don't worry about that.
Look, let me just say, I like Francesca a lot, and we probably agree on 80% of our worldviews. There was no theory that was given to the jurors. The jurors were told it could have been campaign finance, it could have been tax, it could have been false books.
That's so true. I just remembered that. I think the prosecutor just couldn't tell you what the crime was. It could have been these 4 things. Just pick one.
That's what irks me. Lifelong Democrat, no fan of Trump, never voted for Trump, never will.
I hope they give him some sort of community service, soup kitchen situation. That'd be incredible. Or just make him work one day in his life, just a single day.
You don't become a billionaire without working at least a single day in your life. Just shows a little bit how she's kind of, let's just say, out of touch.
Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir? Do you think the conviction will have an impact on the campaign?
What? Why? Come on, Biden. That looked like something that came out of a cartoon. Why would you wait until he starts running to bring them up? If they're problems that Trump did, you should have tried to convict him way before if you really cared about those laws. All right. Hello. My name is Mr. WhyzGuy. Welcome to Piers Morgan. This dude, now, as you can see, the title, and it's 34 minutes. It's not over an hour. So that means I won't have to be editing a lot. This is great. This is good. But anyways, we're going to be watching Piers Morgan Uncensored. He has, this is honestly, if you like Trump, this will be, this is confirmation bias to the max. You're going to like this. This video is going to be great. But if you're not a Trump supporter, you'll get some stuff out of it. So you guys might like it too. So stick around. Yeah, well, that didn't really happen. Maybe I might have cut that out. But now I'll keep that in. Why not? But anyways, yeah, we're going to be watching Piers Morgan, Trump debate, the verdict. And I guess a lot of people that aren't Trump supporters are going to be like, oh, how is this guy going to cope about this now? Well, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. If you want to know about that, then just continue. Watch the video. It's going to be great. But remember to like and subscribe and comment too. Thank you very much. And yeah, let's just get right into it.
Well, former President Trump's bombshell guilty verdict has triggered a predictable outpouring of smugness and glee from celebrities and liberals. Barbara Streisand said that Americans must not allow this felon anywhere near the White House again. Star Trek's George Takei quipped that he should now be called 34 instead of 45. And Joy Behar from The View said she was so excited that she, quote...
So the main reason why I'm going to be watching this, because typically I'll watch things that don't fit my confirmation bias. So, and it always hurts, but this one, it's a little bit more soothing. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Hope you stick around. It's going to be fun.
Leaked a bit in Costco. Charming. But could these celebrations be short-sighted and short-lived? The Trump campaign has raised a staggering $200 million since the guilty verdicts rolled in. And he received a hero's...
Yeah, that's kind of insane. That is actually kind of insane. Trump gets convicted and then he breaks records on donations for in his presidency for running as president. It kind of says something. That's a lot of money in one night. That's crazy. Gets convicted. Gets to $50-something million. It's over 200. It's probably over $250 million right now, which is insane at the time of making this video. But still, that's all right, Trump.
Alongside Dana White at the UFC event in Newark on Saturday night. And now even some of Trump's political enemies are rallying to his cause. Senator Mitt Romney, very much a moderate of the Republicans, said that Alvin Bragg may have won the battle for now, but he may have lost the political war. Democrats think they can put out the Trump fire with oxygen. It's political malpractice. So is Trump the felon now even more likely to return to the White House? We're here to debate this. It's the Shark Tank investor, Kevin O'Leary, criminal defense attorney, Mark Geragos, host of the Daily Wire's Michael Knowles Show.
Michael Knowles. Yes. Michael Knowles. Interesting. Is he the one that does the Speechless book or something? Speechless or something like that. Oh, no, that's Michael Knowles. Oh, whoops,
considered
wrong person.
Michael Knowles. And
Oh wait, no, yeah, from Michael Knowles. I'm talking. Oh, I have the old bald dude with the glasses that also works at the Daily Wire. I think that was him. I think that's the guy with the. No, it's Speechless. It's this guy. Yeah, it's this guy.
very unconservative commentator Francesca Fiorentini. Well, welcome to all.
She is basically the Destiny for the entire panel. So for anyone that likes Destiny, you're gonna like her a lot. Typically,
all of you. Mark Garrigus, let me start with you just for the legal perspective here. I think two things can be true at the same time. One is that the jury did their job with the evidence.
Yeah, two things can be true at the same time. Like 1 + 1 = 2. That's also true. And 2 + 2 = 4. Those two things are true at the exact same time. But I can't actually say those two things at the exact same time because it wouldn't make sense if I were talking. I don't think my mouth could move that way. Well, whatever.
Placed in front of them, and that the verdict was a correct one from a legal perspective. And the second view, which can run concurrently with this should never have got to court in the first place, and dragging an American president through a criminal court process over something so relatively trivial.
Yes, true. So freaking true. Like, bro, we're sentencing a president, a front-running president from the person that's going to run for the opposition party. We're sentencing him to jail. They haven't sentenced him to jail yet at the time of this video, but they're sentencing him to potentially go to jail for a long time because he either he did it by accident or on purpose. Like, but there's just the wrong numbers to the IRS. That's basically what happened. The wrong numbers got to the IRS. Whether it was intentional or not doesn't really matter. Well, actually, it does matter, but not whether Trump would be guilty or not for it. But it matters for even bringing up the case in the first place. Okay, whatever. Anyways, let's keep going.
Driven by apparent political partisanship on the part of the people driving it was a catastrophic error of judgment and a disaster for the country. Discuss.
Well, look, I don't disagree with you. You can have these two thoughts in your head. If you're going to bring a criminal case against one of the most reviled people in Manhattan and pick a jury in Manhattan and expect them to do anything but convict him, then I know nothing about the criminal law that I've been trying cases about. That was a slam dunk for the prosecution from the get-go. At the same time, I can tell you that it was, to my mind...
True. New York has a lot of Democrats, and a lot of Democrats who do not like Trump. Yeah.
It was reprehensible that you take a case that is basically misdemeanors and with an expired statute of limitations, and you do the mental gymnastics to contort this into a target crime that's not defined until closing argument and make those into felonies.
All right. I'm not going to lie. I don't really know too much about law, but from what I've been listening to, it sounds, I understand logic. So hopefully this makes sense to me. And when something doesn't make sense, I'll point it out, but I can't legalese. Like I'm not that type of, I'm not a lawyer. Let's just say that.
He's basically reviving an expired statute of limitations. I could go on and on about the legal,
Oh yeah, by the way, speaking of legalese, there's gonna be another video. I don't know if I'm gonna make it today, but there's this guy called Rob Noor. Yeah, we're gonna be watching that, but it's a 5-hour freaking long clip, and I'd rather do this first than the Rob Noor one. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe for that, honestly.
Nonsense that this is, but I'm not criticizing the jury. I criticize, number one, the prosecutor for bringing this case. Part of what makes the system work is prosecutors have to make hard decisions when to bring a case. Now, the jury did what they were given. That's on the judge. The judge, there's no such thing as directed verdicts in criminal cases. This was basically a directed verdict based on the jury instructions. As to the political, I'll just end it with this. I said 30 years ago when I was defending Susan McDougal, who was Bill Clinton's business partner in the Whitewater case, when she was being prosecuted by then independent counsel Ken Starr. Be careful what you wish for, Republicans, because the chickens are going to come home to roost. And sure enough, that's where we are right now.
And those.
So basically what he said is that Republicans a long time ago, like years and years ago, I think, I forget the date that he said, but a long time ago, basically prosecuted someone on something very trivial that they're prosecuting Trump for. So now so I guess back then the Republicans were the ones that opened up this can of worms of just prosecuting people on the most trivial of things just because he technically broke the law. Like there's laws out there, like there's a law in some state that says that you can't leave like women can't skydive on Sundays or something, or Mondays or Tuesdays or something like that. And I mean, those laws were on the book a long time ago when there was actually like a legitimate issue. That's not a thing anymore. So there's no reason to have that law, but it's still on the books technically.
Question for you is, I understand how joyous you must be feeling that Donald Trump has been convicted because he slept with a porn star 20 years ago and may have shuffled some business papers about it. But why is it in America that one of your 46 presidents has been treated in such a humiliating manner over something so trivial? And why do you guys not see that this might help him rather than hinder him in the election?
All right, I'm going to cut her off because this is the way I would like it to be framed. This is perfect. Thank you, Piers Morgan. Thank you. Thank you, Piers. Did a good job at framing it the way that I want to frame. That is just music to my ears. But I know it's framed in a specific way to make it seem like it's like so trivial and stuff like that. Like he literally said that word, but still, this is just how it feels. Honestly, it really feels like it's just, why are you prosecuting the lead Republican candidate to become the president? Like, couldn't you have done this after, or like, couldn't you have done this after? Like, they could have brought this up after, like right after Joe Biden like won. They could have just brought this up, or maybe, well, yeah, right after but they decided to start prosecuting him like when he's gonna, like, basically a year before he might be elected. That's crazy. Like the moment Trump starts running, all these lawsuits start popping up. I'm like, what is this? Like if these things were issues, why would you wait until he starts running to bring them up? If they're like problems that Trump did, you should have like tried to convict him way before if you really cared about those laws. That's my take, honestly. So I feel like this is just a political hit job. That's how it feels like. But what are you gonna say? What are you gonna say? The female destiny.
I happen to believe, Piers, that it's good for America when you hold the person who has the highest office in the land to the standards of the American law. And in this case, New York state law, where he committed these crimes. I happen to believe that it is a telltale sign of coming totalitarianism, fascism, skirting of the law when you allow a president to simply do whatever he wants and actually never hold him accountable. But look.
Oh, okay. Then why wait until he starts to run again? That's my question. Like, we can't just let him not get prosecuted forever. We just gotta wait until he, like, you know, starts running again. Like, what?
The reality is this, is that these aren't crimes that were on the books in every single state. These are crimes that are on the books in New York State, as we talked about, all right? And so he knew exactly what he was doing. In fact, this is the most important part, is that David Pecker of the National Enquirer refused to keep on paying his...
Oh, that's not necessarily true. When she said that Trump knew what he was doing, there's still a debate for that. That's still up for debate. So of course she's going to say it as if it's true, but when it's not. So I'll concede to that because, like, that's what's alleged.
His hush money payments, because the dude was tired of getting paid back in expired Trump stakes, and he was like, no, I'm not going to do it this time, especially not with a porn star. And so Michael Cohen had to do the payments on behalf of Donald Trump. Michael Cohen already spent 3 years mostly on house arrest, but he was already sentenced to 3 years over this. This is squarely Trump's making. This has nothing to do with his base. It has nothing to do with...
If it's squarely Trump's making, then... I don't know if Trump really wanted to, like, have $60,000 stolen from him. I don't think that's That's squarely on Trump. Trump wanted that to like what? Okay. Oh, did I just mute it?
Democracy, like happened on January 6th. According to
I'll go back a little bit.
This is squarely Trump's making. This has nothing to do with his base. It has nothing to do with protecting American democracy, like happened on January 6th. According to them, this has to do with Trump making his bronzer-stained bed with a porn star, trying to cover it up, and then getting caught doing it.
And out of interest, before I go to Michael, out of interest, why is Bill Clinton able to have sex with an intern in the Oval Office when he's president and lie to the American people about it on national television? And why is he able to pay off Paula Jones $850,000, 4 times as much, 5 times as much as the Trump payment to Stormy Daniels, to get rid of a sexual harassment claim, again, while he's president? And he has no criminal court recourse for that. Why is that deemed to be better than what happened with Trump and Stormy?
Just as a heads up, Piers Morgan, he actually is, it may seem like he's pro-Trump or whatever because he's defending him, sort of, but he's really good at doing what he's doing, like being basically impartial or not partisan. Like, he's really good at not being like that because he is on the other side, so he doesn't really take a stake whether America has, like, he lives in Europe, so he cares about America and the presidents, but he doesn't really have a stake in it, you know? Go back a little bit.
Get rid of a sexual harassment claim, again, while he's president. And he has no criminal court recourse for that. Why is that deemed to be better than what happened with Trump and Stormy?
I don't think anyone is making that case, Piers. I'm
asking you, what's the difference? What's the difference?
Or any predator. The difference is that he didn't cook the books financially using his own, using back channels in order to pay.
So paying somebody off who says you sexually harassed her, paying nearly $1 million while you're the president of the United States, and then having sex with an intern in the Oval Office and lying about it, that's fine because he's a Democrat.
Piers, only the leftists in your mind are making that argument.
That's such a bad way to... So she could have answered that way better than that instead of just saying that. Like, she could have just bite the bullet and be like, yeah, one is definitely more worse. And I could see the double standard, like, play it that way and then add her, kind of shift the narrative into her favor after conceding to those two things. Because if for you to just completely not bite the bullet on this obviously, like, double standard, and not even concede to that, it makes her lose a little bit of credibility in my mind. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments below.
Sorry?
I said only the Democrats and the leftist mob in your mind are making that argument that you're opposing to it. I will say this about Stormy Daniels. I think it's incredible that she accepted $130,000 from Michael Cohen, because honestly, if I had the misfortune of sleeping with Donald Trump, no matter what the circumstances, let's say I had mad cow and then I did DMT on an empty stomach. If I had the misfortune of sleeping with Donald Trump, there is no amount of money you could pay me to keep quiet about it, because I would never tell a single soul.
Remember, this supposedly happened, like, they tried to pay her off in 2011. So this might have happened like years before. And years before, the reason why I'm mentioning the dates is because Trump was everyone loved him before then. He had a lot of status. A lot of women like people with a lot of status. Let's just say that. And they don't care. A lot of women do. She might be the opposite, but pre 2016, I don't think she would have this opinion right now. Just saying.
I would fake my own death and move to the Galapagos and pretend to be a bird. I
mean, I would say it's very unlikely you would ever get the offer, but you do look quite like Karen McDougal, funny enough.
Oh, so I'm not cute enough to.
No, I just said you are. I said you're very much in his.
Actually, it's a compliment. Yes.
Yeah, it was a compliment. Let's go to Michael. Michael, look, I do think there's a ridiculous double standard here that will come back and bite the Democrats. for the reasons that Mark Garagos said about historically, you've seen this coming a mile off, where both parties starting to ratchet up this concept of kind of going after each other's leaders in criminal courts. I mean, you see this normally in banana republics, not in the United States of America. And it really does worry me, as someone who loves America and loves Americans, what this is leading to. Because if all that happens in each term of office is one party trying to incarcerate the other's leader, I don't know where that leaves America in a few.
So she shakes her. This is annoying because she shakes her head because she doesn't. This narrative that they're prosecuting a political opponent, it just doesn't compute in her mind. It's like it doesn't. It's zero chance of that actually being a thing. She can't even fathom the idea. That's why she's shaking her head and rolling her eyes. And I'm like, bro, how do you not see this? So that was kind of annoying. Not gonna lie.
Few years' time.
Well, this will only come back to bite Democrats if they lose their grip on power, and obviously they don't think that they will. This is why President Biden the other day, when he was walking out of a press briefing, was asked, Mr. President, Donald Trump says that you are imprisoning him.
Michael Knowles pre-watched this. Even though he's on the thing, he pre-watched this because, like, look what happens next.
Because he's your political rival. What do you say to that charge?
Well, we actually, I'll stop you there. We have the clip. Let's play the clip.
Mr. President,
see, look at that.
Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir? Do you think the conviction will have an impact on the campaign?
I mean, you look like Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
What? Why? Come on, Biden. Can you not look like an evil genius or something like that? I know he's not, but he that looked like something that came out of a cartoon. Look, Donald Trump is getting indicted, and it's people are saying it looks like a political hit job, and he just turns around and smiles. I'm like, what? Bro, you're supposed to defuse the situation, make it seem like you're not a part of this, not smile and grin and be like, maybe not. I don't know. What? Oh man, come on, Joe. At
the end of that, but I mean, Michael, to pick up your point there, that's the clip you're referring to.
Yes, and it's pretty clear this is not a man who thinks that he has to be accountable to the American people. When you look at the federal charge against him, there was a poll that came out when that charge was brought that showed 62% of Americans think that it's primarily politically motivated. They just don't seem to care. And so this has been a ratcheting up, as we've all noted on the panel, of trends that have been built up for some years now. Some would say going back to Richard Nixon, but certainly in the early Trump campaign, the Democrats tried to stop him from being president by spying on him and cooking up fake intelligence, ironically enough, with Russia, and that didn't work. Then they tried to throw him out by impeaching him twice. That didn't work. Then they tried to kick him out by rigging the election and changing all the voter rules, in some cases in contravention of state constitutions leading up to that election. That did get him out of office, and he did leave office, but then he didn't go away. He kept running again. So then they indicted him 4 times. Now they've convicted him. They're going to threaten to throw him in prison. Pretty soon they're going to threaten to send him to St. Helena. But this has
Okay, I was going to say something, but he just keeps rambling and talking and talking. So, yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy, because, Trump... Remember back in 2016, in the beginning of everything, Trump was bad because he could be a Russian spy or something like that. And then 2 years later, after an FBI investigation for 2 years of Trump's presidency, they found no evidence for that Trump was a Russian spy. They that's what they said, and I'm like, come on, man. And now they're saying, oh, he's bad for all these other things. I'm like, since 2015. When it was proved that Trump's campaign was spied on because he could have been a Russian spy. But this is why it feels so jaded. From the very beginning, Trump has been just abused. I want to say he's a billionaire, so obviously he can absorb it. He's doing fine. He goes golfing on the weekends all the time. And that's his life, and he's not really paying too much sweat. But in the media, oh man, it's so bad. It is so bad, and for so many years. That's crazy. That is crazy. I don't understand how you can go from being loved 1 year, and then the next 8 years of your life, it's just pure hatred from one side. And yeah, he gets some love too, which is good. So he's not going to go crazy like everyone hates me. Like, nah, there's a lot of, he only spends time. No one wants to spend time around people that hate them. That includes Trump because he's human. Obviously, he's going to surround himself with people that like him for the most part. But now he has all this avid like hatred towards him. And I think it stemmed from like first the Russia stuff. Like, oh, he could be a Russian spy or something like that. But then it just kept going and going. And then they called him a racist. And then they called him Hitler. And then, or close to Hitler or something like that. And now xenophobic in 2020 because he wanted to, he stopped people from, he closed the borders down specifically from China. Like, we're not getting anyone from China because 2020, the coronavirus was like spreading from there. And so he just can't win. He literally can't win.
Absolutely nothing to do with the law. As was noted earlier, at most you're talking about a misdemeanor that would have already expired under the statute of limitations. I'm not even convinced that there was really a misdemeanor that Trump committed. So my fellow panelist here is celebrating that the rule of law has been vindicated and overturned 234 years of American legal tradition. I would challenge her to see if she could possibly articulate how and what crime Trump committed, because so far Alvin Bragg, the DA, has failed to do so. The judge in the case, Judge Merchan, has failed to do so. And they can't do it because Trump didn't commit any of the crimes for which he's been convicted.
Well, let's just ask quickly before I go to Kevin. Francesca, just on that point, what crime did Trump commit?
It was financial crimes. It was white collar crimes. That is exactly
Which
what
one,
they
though?
charged him. He was convicted on.
What was the crime?
It's New York state law.
No, I understand. What was the crime?
It is New.
Francesca,
I don't even like it. It is
Well,
literally
hang on, Mark,
he just got convicted on 34 counts.
Francesca, what was the crime?
Of like cooking the actual book.
What was the crime?
You are not allowed. So you are not allowed to use your own financial, like your own money, to pay off somebody, and then he logged it as something different. He logged it as just a regular payment.
Yeah, as a regular payment, and then since he logged it as a regular payment instead of a reimbursement, Trump ended up paying more in taxes for having like literally a financial error. A financial error. Like Trump like what they're saying is that Trump intentionally paid more in taxes. He intentionally did that to pay more in taxes to the federal government because he lied, and that's bad. He broke the law. And technically, yes. He, instead of putting it as a reimbursement, which you don't have to pay taxes on reimbursement, he put it as like outcome or income or something like that, or something that made him pay taxes. It was just the wrong thing. He put it as the wrong thing, and he paid more in taxes. And he lied because he wanted to pay the government more taxes. Like, okay, all right. This is what we're convicting him for.
Payment, but he was actually paying off this porn star to keep quiet, which, if he hadn't been running for president, would not have mattered, but he was, and so it impacted campaign finance laws in New York State. Okay, that is what Juan Merchan just oversaw this. Alvin Bragg brought these charges because Michael Cohen, his sister, was already sentenced to 3 years to do it.
Let's just go before Kevin. I'll be very, very, very patient. We'll come to you.
Look, I'm no expert. Let me just say, hang on.
Francesca,
you are no expert.
By the
That's
way.
right, because the campaign finance law is a federal law.
Hang on,
Anyway.
Francesca. I want to go to Mark. You're the lawyer. Is anything Francesca just said, is that actually the crime?
Look, let me just say, I like Francesca a lot, and we probably agree on 80% of our worldviews. However, Francesca, the way you just described it, call me afterwards and I'll educate you, because that's not what happened. There was no theory that was given to the jurors. The jurors were told it could have been campaign finance, it could have been tax, it could have been false books. They were told they didn't have to specify, and specifically told they did not have to agree unanimously.
That's so true. I just remembered that, but everyone keeps trying to go back to the falsifying evidence when I think the prosecutor just couldn't tell you what the crime was. It could have been these 4 things. Just pick one. And they didn't know which one, so it didn't matter which one they all agreed to for it to be. I guess they all agreed for it to be I guess one of the three, which was the campaign falsifying campaign finances or something like that. But that's that's still kind of like, that's so weird. It could be one of these. Just pick one.
That's what irks me. Lifelong Democrat, no fan of Trump, never voted for Trump, never will. But I will tell you, as somebody who has spent his entire career with kind of taking on unpopular causes and holding the government accountable, I have to tell you, I do that for a reason. And the reason is this kind of shenanigans. And that's
Shenanigans.
the best light I can spin it on in the criminal courts has no place in a federal election.
No, I agree.
The campaign finance laws were federal, not state, and the state laws had nothing to do with it.
Okay, I want to go to Kevin. Been waiting very patiently. Kevin, you are a very successful businessman, as Trump has obviously been in his career too. Do you think, in all honesty, if you were caught up in something like this, and I'm not for a moment suggesting you would want to have a one-night stand with Stormy Daniels, but if you went down this road and ran for office, or not run for office, if you just ran for, say, to be CEO of a company, do you think it would ever have led to a criminal case? Because the argument is that a regular business guy who's not actually running for the presidency would be treated very differently, and therefore the law has not been seen to be fairly applied here.
Rob Noor actually makes a very good point on this question, which I don't know if this guy actually says it. I'm kind of just going to blow through this guy a little bit.
I think half the country in the U.S.
I think he makes a good point, though.
Politically motivated, which is not a good thing. It's having more impact on the state of New York, which is seen as unstable. Whether the case has flaws
True. I will never start a business in New York. Never.
in it or not will be solved for in the appellate system. So most people assume, because of the importance of the situation, that it will go through the appellate system as quickly as possible, if necessary, to the Supreme Court. In the end of the day, these things balance themselves. The damage done to New York started back in the other litigation around real estate. Quietly, large projects, those are over $1 billion, are not being started in New York currently. People are waiting until things stabilize. And I've moved projects out of New York to places like Oklahoma.
Yeah, they did what did they do? They fined Trump or for something, for real estate, some sort of real estate BS nonsense. Okay. I guess I'll just tell you the whole thing. So Trump wanted a loan. He used one of his buildings as collateral. Trump said this building is worth this much, X amount, and the bank, well, okay, so first the bank was like, okay, so you need Y amount, and Trump said, well, no, my buildings are worth X amount because he got it appraised, and then the banks went and appraised it and got X amount as well, and then they accepted the deal. Trump got the loan. He used his building as collateral, but the prosecution is saying, the state did their own audit appraisal on the on Trump's property and said, actually, banks, you're wrong. It actually is worth a lot less. So you've been defrauded because of like what the state appraised the building for. So that's how, like, it's so like New York is just terrible to start a business in. It's disgusting. And then they got Trump on a gotcha, basically. The state said that the bank was by definition defrauded because the state's appraisal of Trump's property was much less than what the bank's appraisal of Trump's property were. And wow, Trump paid off the loan, obviously. So it's not like there was any issues, but that's New York right there. That is New York. Never start a business in New York. It's a terrible place to start a business in. Terrible
North
state.
Dakota, West Virginia, Montana, Pennsylvania, much more stable environments. It's too difficult to work in that unstable environment. And the real problem is you can't raise institutional capital right now. The capital from around the world thinks New York's a little off kilter. Now, something else to consider about Alvin Bragg, which I think history will prove to be correct. You've got to remember, Donald Trump only 24 months ago, in the middle of the first term of Biden, did not have control of his party. About a third of them were rebelling, if you want to use that word, because they were concerned about the controversy around Trump and they were looking for new leadership. And he was challenged. But something happened that changed everything. And this is the law of unintended consequences. Alvin Bragg started charging Trump. And immediately the entire Republican Party coalesced behind him almost in 48 hours. Of course, the country bifurcated into this being a political witch hunt using lawfare, as a tool, and we're still debating that. But here's what's really interesting. If Trump becomes president, I think he has a big debt to Alvin Bragg.
Right.
Alvin Bragg is the kingmaker.
Yeah.
He made Trump president by polarizing the country so much and motivating the base so much that in the last 42 hours, Trump has passed $60 million in fundraising. That's an all-time record for him. So what's happening here is this unusual time, and I understand that you may not like that as an unintended consequence if you're Alvin Bragg, but I think history will show he made Donald Trump president one more time. And that's just the way it is.
You know what? I completely agree. I think it's one of the most willful. I'll come to Francesca's response. It seems to be one of the most willfully stupid acts of self-harm I've seen any political party commit. You had Trump right on his knees, done. And you've revived the rotting political corpse of this guy, and you've now got him roaring back to the White House. And the only thing, as Mitt Romney, of all people, who hates Trump and represents by absolutely the most moderate part of the Republican Party, when even...
do we even ever explain what he did? Like, it seems like, I'm assuming that's the prosecutor that ended up, or maybe that's the judge that convicted him. I don't know. Not 100% sure, but the opposite effect happened. Is that's basically the gist of what these two are talking about.
Even he says Democrats think they can put out the Trump fire with oxygen.
Oh, Brad should have settled the case against Trump as would have been the normal procedure, but he made a political decision. Bragg may have won the battle, but for now, he may have lost a political war. Democrats think they can put out the fire with oxygen. It's political malpractice. Mitt Romney and a writer. Damn, I was able to pronounce that perfectly. I've never seen this word. I've only ever heard the name. And I didn't know it was Mitt with 2 T's. That's funny.
It's political malpractice. He's right.
Well, GG.
Because the only thing that could further guarantee a Trump victory is if they try and put him in jail on July the 11th, which, by the way, I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, it's remarkable times. We haven't seen polls out since the verdict, and so everybody's waiting to see what happens with the.
All right, here's an anti take, because this is just a parallel that crossed my mind. I don't really necessarily believe it, but it was just interesting to think about. So if he gets put in jail, right, and then he wins and gets elected from jail. Let's just say there's another person that also got elected from prison. I think, don't quote me on this, I think, but he was in Germany. Let's just say that. A long, long time ago.
The unintended consequence of this in terms of just independent voters. And so here's the thing to realize. If you polled 1,000 independent voters, and they will decide the election, most people agree with that in states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, et cetera. I bet you, and we've had the same on this panel, we're debating it, 99% of them have no idea what this case was about at all, and have no idea what exactly he did, and I'm not sure they care. The fact that more than half of them think it's politically motivated is unsettling.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, will get finished off in the appellate system. But
yeah, most people don't pay attention to the technical definition and the minute and the specifics of every single case that Trump's in. Most people are just hearing the he was convicted and now it looks like it's politically motivated, and then that's like they only hear the talking points. They only hear the simple stuff. So, and that's most people. So most people don't really care about the technical definition and all these little things and the debates and stuff like that. They just care about the big thing. Like he got convicted because he paid off a hooker or whatever. That's what most people end up seeing when they see this. So, which is honestly, for me, that works in my favor. Let's just say that.
This is a remarkable time in American history and not that great for the American brand as you started talking about at the beginning. This is more like a Venezuela kind of Cuba, Banana Republic story. You got the porn star. All this stuff is really not what G7 countries do to their leaders.
I completely agree. This is fun.
She's doing a really good job at not exploding because she doesn't like this narrative that I subscribe to, and the majority of these people, like these three, and I think Piers Morgan too, subscribes to. So I give her props to keeping her cool, because she's making faces and she's like, I want to say something so badly. That's what she's saying right now, but she can't. She doesn't want to. Well, it's good that she's keeping herself there, but like those faces though, those faces.
Francesca, I just don't get. We see you're laughing, but Mitt Romney. For Mitt Romney to come down so squarely on the side of Trump.
I do want to just say, look, so the crimes were falsifying business records. Now, the reason I didn't know that before is because I'm not a lawyer and I'm not the journalist who is anchoring this entire show, who should have told you that it was falsifying business records. Now, on the other
because
point,
those aren't felonies.
I hear you that most Americans don't care about falsifying business records. I agree with Kevin and I agree with Piers. However, I will say this. Most Americans also are very much go on gut. And they don't like that a candidate is now a convicted felon. But moreover, this candidate is someone who, and it is not the crime, however we know, cheated on his pregnant wife with a porn star in a hotel in Lake Tahoe and then bragged about it and then tried to pay her to shut up and also paid another Playboy bunny to also be quiet about their relationship.
Bill Clinton had sex with
a lot of American people. You're going back to Bill Clinton because it's the only thing you have.
Well, it's not a bad thing to have.
You're going back. No one's.
Okay, so the reason why he brings up Bill Clinton, and people are like, "Oh, why are you? This is just whataboutism," and I'm like, sure, but it's a double standard. You can't really it's a whataboutism, but it's a double standard. Like, why would you bring this is just destroying the credibility of this entire case, because like Bill Clinton, as he was in office, so this happened in his presidency. We're not talking about something that happened outside of his presidency years ago, before he was even considering like running. Hence Trump paying off the person that he slept with. But you see how she's like character assassinating Trump right now. Now, what she's talking about, the way she's character assassinating Trump is for something that he did long before he decided to run for office or was even in office. But that's way worse than what Piers is bringing up. That's way worse in her head than what Piers is bringing up for Bill Clinton when he was in office. Let's just say that. And doing these things in office, because like that's what people in office do. Yeah, right? Like that's okay. That's perfectly fine. There's no issue. That's much better. Like it's better that happened than when Trump, well, before he got into office, was but he cheated on his wife, one of his wives. Not really the type of person you want in office, but someone actually doing it inside of office. Yeah, that's better. She's gonna say that's better. I'll go back a little bit.
Bill Clinton had sex with an intern
You're
in
going
the
back to Bill
Oval
Clinton because it's the only thing you have.
Well, it's not a bad thing to have.
You're going back. No one's
unlike
talking
Trump,
about Bill
he was
Clinton.
president at the time.
I don't mean to pick on Francesca too much here, but it's very telling that even the liberals who are going on television to defend this ruling have to Google in the breaks to figure out what the crime was. And even
True.
Represent what the actual supposed crime was. The reason here that this has to take. Well, excuse me one second, Francesca. I'll just finish my point real quickly.
Books. That's the same thing.
Yeah. It's not a felony, not a crime, but anyway, that's a point for another time. The reason why
True.
conviction can't to you as well. The reason that they can't articulate this is because it's not really a crime. That's why they had to upend 234 years of precedent for this. And it gets back to a point that you made earlier, Piers, and that you made, Kevin, which is that Alvin Bragg really overplayed his hand. Sure, he overplayed his hand to some degree, but what else were they going to do? Donald Trump was always going to be the Republican nominee in 2024. A lot of people feel that he was gypped in 2020. He's the biggest guy in the party. It was going to happen. And Trump poses a real threat to the liberal establishment. He's not a Mitt Romney type Republican. He has different views from the so-called uniparty on things like trade, on things like immigration, and things like foreign policy and war. Trump posed a major threat. That's why they took such extraordinary measures for the last 8 years to take this guy out. They weren't able to do it politically. They weren't even really able to do it at the ballot box. So what's left? The only thing left to do is to try to throw him in prison so that he can't campaign for the election. I agree, it's backfiring.
This is not a federal case, Michael. You know that. It's not even a federal case. Why do you think that it's not a...
There is a federal case. Just because this one case isn't, doesn't mean that there isn't a literal federal case on him right now, which is from the DOJ. And who's running the DOJ? Like, come on, man. I think the DOJ case is, it's been postponed, I think, until after the election, but they're still going to prosecute him whether he gets elected or not. But that's crazy. This is not even this is not even a federal case. It's not even a federal, but there is another case that is. Just because this one isn't doesn't mean that there isn't any from the federal government like going after him. Which who's the president now? Like, come on now. Who's the head of the, or at least talks or has like his own DOJ? Like, come on, man. That's just
a DOJ case. It's not a Biden case. It's not a Merrick Garland thing. It's New York state law. So the idea that this is somehow politically motivated is all made up in your head because what you...
Well, if you only look at that one case, then sure, but there's a lot more than just one case.
Biden's DOJ is also prosecuting Donald Trump twice.
Is you groom your audience for fascism and you set them up for a complete takeover of the DOJ. This is all about allowing Trump to get away with any crime he wants, as you sort of slighted and sort of, laid out very like nonchalantly just a little.
Anything he wants. He wants Trump. He just wants Michael Knowles just wants Trump to get away with any crime. And any crime that she's talking about specifically in this one is the crime of falsifying business records, which is putting the wrong number on the accounting piece of sheet and clicking submit in TurboTax, basically. Just putting the right numbers were in. It was just in the wrong categorization, which made Trump pay more taxes. And okay, well, you know what? Dead horse.
He was impeached twice. Doesn't really matter that he tried to blackmail the leader of Ukraine into digging up non-existent dirt on Joe Biden. But
that's not what happened. But okay, you can frame it that way. Over-exaggerate that thing to the maximum. That's crazy. See, this is the world. This is the world they live in. Oh, he's trying to blackmail that phone call he was trying to blackmail his political opponents by calling up Ukraine. Okay, all right, dude.
But that doesn't matter to you
Joe Biden
or your
threatened to withhold arms.
You want to make sure. You want to make sure that when Trump is reelected,
me of fascism.
He can get away. He can.
Yo, the delay between these two, like they both stop at the same time, but then there's a delay between them, so they don't actually know what's going on. This is just funny.
Francesca, you're accusing me of fascism. That's a big charge. All I would point out is that it's not my party that's imprisoning its political opponents right now. So if we're going to throw that accusation about it.
I was about to say one of the key tenets of fascism is you imprison your political opponents. Let me come back to Mark Geragos.
What do you mean who's in prison? Who's about to become in prison? Like, bro, didn't Trump say that he was going to lock up Hillary? What happened to that? Oh, nothing. Okay. Biden didn't say he was going to lock up Trump, but what is the DOJ doing right now? Okay, then. Thank you. Case closed.
I want to play a clip from Donald Trump.
Well, if you guys don't know, Michael was right. There is two. Okay, you know what? Let's look it up right now. The cases against Trump, why they matter. Trump convicted tied to orders from, but no one's saying that Biden ordered this. We're talking about the DOJ, so obviously this is bullshit titling. Trump plots capture of DOJ renewed assault in. Actually, let's chat GPT this thing right now. We'll copy this. You know, I love chat GPT. Does the DOJ have cases against Trump? Question mark. What are you going to say, chat? Bro, this is retarded. As of my last update in January 2022. What do you mean 2022? This is 2024 now. Why are you going all the way back there to see if there was any cases against him? The Department of Justice, DOJ, did not publicly announce any cases against Trump. However, investigations and legal proceedings can unfold over time. Bro, what? This is 2022. Bro, we are literally in 2024 now. This is crazy. You can't even see it. I have it blocked up, but still, that's crazy. Oh my God. In 2020, like it's just so hard. It's just so hard. I don't. Of course you don't. I don't have access to real-time information, so I can't provide updates beyond my last trading data in January 2022. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, really? Okay. let's see. What is something? I highly doubt this in 2022. Okay. So, I'm going to name something that happened in literally a couple of weeks ago. The missile strikes in Russia. Let's see if we could find that data. Oh, I can't go back until January of 2022. That's nonsense. I can't provide real-time updates, but as of my last update in 2020, there hadn't been a war between Ukraine and Russia in 2024. Wait, what? What do you mean? My last update in 2022, there hadn't been a war between Russia in 2024. How could you know if there was a war or wasn't a war within 2024 if your last update was in 2022? That doesn't this statement doesn't even make sense. Oh, I don't have access to real-time information to 2022. Ukraine in 20, but you know that there hasn't been a war between Ukraine and Russia in 2024. How do you know that there hasn't been a war? Like, how could you even say there was or was not? That doesn't make any sense. If you don't have that data, that's stupid. Okay, all right. You're being consistent. Okay. I hate how it keeps telling me this. You just keep adding that January. Ever since I did that one thing, now it's saying, oh, it has to preface every single thing that I talk about. Oh, since January 2022. Why am I doing this on Chrome? Chrome isn't going to give me the answers I want. Of course it's not. Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at that. When you go to the Brave browser, look at that. Does the DOJ have indictments against Trump? Yes. The Department of Justice, the DOJ, has indicted Trump in multiple cases. According to the search results, Trump has been indicted for 4 separate cases. New York State indictment, Florida federal indictment. Oh, okay. So that's a federal one, which is obviously... So I think 2 of the 4, because that's what he said. Well, okay, so at least one. I know this one's a state one. Georgia indictment. I think the January 6th is also a federal one because it doesn't specify which state this is in. But yes. Notice how I had to go to Brave. Oh, you can't even see that. The Brave browser in order to get this information. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, obviously. So yes, the DOJ, which is connected to, they're run by the executive branch of the government, who's in control of the executive branch right now? I'll let you answer that question.
I was just talking to Fox and Friends. We talked about the prospect of maybe going to jail.
The judge could decide to say, hey, house arrest or even jail.
It could.
How do you face what that could look
I'm okay with it. I saw one of my lawyers the other day on television saying, oh, no, you don't want to do that to the president. I said, you don't beg for anything. You just, the way it is. I don't know that the public would stand it, I'm not sure the public would stand for it. With a...
if they tried house arrest or...
I think it would be tough for the public to take. At a certain point, there's a breaking point.
You think?
And Mark, the question I was going to ask you is that a lot of people think the way Trump has been trashing the judge, the court, the process and everything night after night when he comes out to TV cameras, that under normal...
This is what I mean by very good, unbiased questions. He's gonna frame it the way that he wants to frame it. And he's gonna frame it in the truthfully. Yeah, Trump was doing that. And someone who likes Trump isn't gonna admit that just outright like that. So here we go. But he doesn't hate him either. He'll how he was with this lady, but dead horse. Don't need to beat it again.
normal circumstances, you could trash talk your way into a prison sentence. Is that remotely possible here?
Well, let me give you the legal analysis and then I'll give you the political. I don't think, if I'm a betting man, I don't think he's going to go into jail or into custody on July 11th. If he was somebody other than Trump, he would be in custody right now.
I mean, Kevin, the whole idea...
That's a really important point, and everyone needs to remember that.
Bro, you were just shaking your head the entire time until he said that last point. When, if it wasn't for his name, he probably would be in jail right now.
Yeah, it is an important point. Kevin, just again, I'm across the pond at the moment, but I love America. And this is just this whole idea that we're even discussing the possibility of incarcerating an American president. I made the point the other day that if it was...
Yeah, we've never done this before.
...a drone program that killed thousands of innocent people, or it was wholesale corruption on a very serious scale at the heart of government, something of that magnitude, then okay, I'd understand taking action against an American president. But the idea that Trump is going through all this and may end up with a suspended sentence or a hung sentence hanging over him, whatever it may be, as Mark just articulated, the idea that an American president, left or right, is facing this potentially happening in 6 weeks' time, in election year, I mean, it sends a shudder down my spine, if I'm honest, because I don't know.
Yeah, couldn't you just wait until after the election? Then it wouldn't look so sketchy. Like, bro, if you want this to be legit and not look sketchy and look like, well, yeah, okay, so he won or he didn't win, we're prosecuting him now because of these things, even though this was like pre-2016, these issues that came up, so we could have prosecuted him. Long before that, we could have prosecuted him when he was in office during 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 20. Well, they started in 23, but yeah, they could have started this they could have started this from since 2016 onward. Like, come on, man. Oh no, we're gonna prosecute him 2023, 1 year before 2024 when he's about to run again. Okay, all right, dude. It just looks sketchy. Like, the timing is everything.
What it makes America as a country.
Well, it has never happened before in a G7 country, and happened once, I believe, in a G20 country, but I think was acquitted.
I don't know what a G7 or G20 is. I'm not going to look it up, so throw it in the comments below. Thank you very much.
This isn't really about Trump anymore from the perspective you're talking about. It's about the American brand. It's about the executive. It's about the White House. It's about the American economy. It's about people's perception about investing in it. There's a pretty big discomfort, and I know this from both Democrats and Republicans. There's many outcomes of this sentencing, but I don't think anybody contemplates that he would be jailed. That would not go over well, I think, at all. From just a, I don't think that would be. This judge has a huge responsibility on his shoulders because it hasn't been tested by the appellate court. So it would be wise, perhaps, to be very, very lenient, and I would suggest probation maybe or something less so that he can go on with the political process of running, his Republican conference, decide if he's going to be and who his vice president is going to be, and setting up for the election just months away at that point. And as many have said on both sides of the party, let the people decide this situation on November 5th.
Right.
If they make Trump president again, then we're talking about the Oval Office. We want to be careful not to get in his way as he governs the land. I would have thought bringing the porn star...
I like how she shakes her head like, no, we should get in his way. We should get in his way. Like, I know we care about democracy, but not with him. We got to bend the rules a little bit. Not with him. Not Trump. Democracy... I don't care if most people want him back in office. I don't. So we got to get him out. I don't care about democracy then.
Case after
crazy
the election would have been better. It was really unusual to listen. And I was in London, where you are, talking to sovereign wealth and institutional investors. As you know, I'm trying to buy TikTok.
And she's the type of person to say democracy, and like our democracy, instead of saying our republic, which is technically more true. Yeah, we're more of a republic than we are a democracy. Like, we have some democracy, like, type things, like we vote for things, but like there is a lot of things where it's just a republic. Like I think the court system is more Actually, no, I'm not even going to say anything because I don't really know.
So I'm trying to line up a syndicate. And Stormy Daniels' testimony was embarrassing, talking about condoms and penis size and what does that have to do with state finance or federal finance?
True.
It was really
true.
And not at the level you would want to brand a G7 or G20 country. And I think most people are embarrassed about it, to be honest.
I agree with you. And talking of TikTok, Trump joined it, Francesca, at the weekend. He got 3 million followers immediately.
Immediately.
This happened at the UFC fight. Dana White let him out. And this is just after he'd been convicted on 34 counts of...
See, this is just like... This is so... What's the word? So... snarky. Like Trump got like 3 million like followers on TikTok, which I don't care for TikTok, so I don't really care about that stat. But she does like this fake yawn, and I'm like, come on, man. Come on, man. You don't gotta be like that. Like, you don't even have to like, you could have just rolled your eyes, but no, you did the whole fake yawn thing. Like, come on now.
Crime. Take a look at what the crowd reacted was.
Pretty cool for Sean Strickland to have a moment there with Donald Trump after a win.
President Trump, you're the man, bro. It is a damn travesty what they're doing to you. I'll be donating to you, my man. Let's get it done.
I mean, that followed the entrance. Sorry, Mark?
By the way, Piers, if I have spent the last 2 days having people talk to me at a conference I'm at, telling me that one of the phenomenons on TikTok, as Kevin invoked it, is people saying, I'm voting for the felon, I'm voting for the felon.
Yeah.
I'm telling
man.
you, but you want a poll? I'll give you a poll. Take a look at what's happening there at the UFC fight and take a look at what's happening on TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, we're watching the end. This is when he came in. I mean, the place went completely nuts. And the trouble is, Francesca, I spend a lot of time in New York and LA. I have a place in LA and spend a lot of time working in New York. But I also do a lot of crime documentaries, ironically, which take me down to rural Florida, rural Texas, Alabama, places like that. And let me tell you, none of them agree with you. They all agree with that crowd at the UFC. And if I was a Democrat, I'd be quite unnerved that you've thrown the kitchen sink at this guy.
True.
And this is how a lot of the public are reacting.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That is probably the most true statement I've ever heard come out of his mouth. Like, threw the kitchen sink at him and he's still there. He still made so much money. Like, the opposite effect is happening right now. Like, he's thriving when you keep, like, you're throwing the kitchen sink, but what you're actually throwing at him is, like, ammo.
No, I mean, it makes sense that he'd be cheered at UFC.
Disguised as a kitchen sink.
It's a sport full of actors, and we have this guy who's been pretending to be a serious politician for years now. Look, the important thing about that interview that he gave to Fox News...
You're not besmirching UFC. Hang on. Fact check. You're thinking of WWE, the actors. The UFC, they're real fighters.
Yes. Oh, sorry. I don't have... Cool. Good. I'm glad. Look,
there's a big difference. One is acting, one is hardcore elite fighting. They're very different things.
Yeah, WWC is acting, and I think that's what she got confused with. But the UFC is actual real fighting, for the most part.
I don't have video feed, but I bet it's dope, and I stand corrected, Piers. But I will say this: with the interview that he gave on Fox and Friends, I do think it matters because what he said was the American people aren't going to stand for this, and in some ways he's saying, you know, he's warning Judge Merchan, and I sort of agreed that I don't think Judge Merchan, even though all y'all think that it's some sort of political hit job, they're not going to put him in jail. Sadly for me, I hope they give him some sort of like community service soup kitchen situation. I'd love to see that, whatever is on his head, in a hairnet. That'd be incredible. Or just like make him work one day in his life, just a single day, maybe on minimum wage. I'd like to see what you do at...
You don't become a billionaire without working at least a single day in your life. Like, that's just not how becoming a billionaire or a millionaire or 100,000aire even like works. It just shows a little bit how she's a kind of, let's just say, out of touch.
like a Home Depot, you know, or just like do a landscaping job from one of the many immigrants that you want to deport from this country. Anything. That would be more of a punishment than actually sitting in a jail cell. But what he was really saying is, hey, American people, basically stand up for me. In effect, do another January 6th for me. And we all saw what happened, no matter what you think.
Yeah, that's the way that she took it. Of course, that's the way she took it. Like, her worldview is like January 6th is the worst thing since like Hitler. Like, come on, man. It was a riot. It was a protest that gone bad. It wasn't even as bad as like the BLM protest. Like, the BLM protests actually like they set buildings on fire. They set cars and police cars on fire. Like, this wasn't even like that bad. Like, calm down.
Think of that day, which I'll remind you, so many Republicans distanced themselves from what happened that day. But the other thing that happened is all these folks who loved Trump, who followed him, who believed in him, were arrested and then charged, rightfully so, for trespassing, for rioting, for threatening the lives of Congress people. And Trump has faced absolutely no music over that. And of course, if Judge Eileen Cannon gets her way, he might never actually face the music until after the election.
He's been charged with very serious crimes in relation to that. That won't happen before the election. Instead, the Democrats collectively, through political reasons and legal reasons and so on, came up with the mad idea of going first with the Stormy case. And that has been a total disaster because no one takes it seriously. Michael, to you. Trump said, my revenge will be success. These are bad people. And he said, it's going to be success will be the best revenge. Do you think that's how this plays out?
It's the only way that it can play out, because
that's not the best wording, but guess what? Trump never has the best wording.
As I think most of us on the panel have accepted, there is not going to be some fair legal conclusion to all of this. The only way that this plays out is if the political system in America is not wholly corrupt. It's only substantially corrupt. Biden smirks when he jokes about jailing his political opponents, but it's not wholly corrupt, and the American people can bring enough civil pressure to bear to push this guy back into the Oval Office. That is going to be the only way that this ends.
If he doesn't win the election,
Wait, was that a cut? I think that was a cut.
If he doesn't win the election, Michael will absolutely...
That was a cut. Because there's no way she could have... There's a delay between these two, so there's no way that she could have instantly start talking and he would instantly stop because there's a delay between these two. He would have stopped and then she would have started talking like a second later. That was a cut. That was smooth, too.
Respect the results of...
Well, you know what he'll say, Francesca?
Correct?
And this time with good reason. He'll say, hey, for 2 months of the election year, when I should have been campaigning, I was being put through a criminal court trial over having sex with a porn star 20 years ago.
True.
And you know, a lot more people will have empathy with him this time than when he falsely claimed he had the 2020 election stolen from him without any evidence. So, unfortunately...
True. There's way more evidence for rigging now. That's crazy. Like, all he has to say is that, well, I've been indicted by all these Democrats from all these different states, including the DOJ, which is, guess what, Democrat at the time. And they were just putting him in, like, courts, which he was. He got stuck in court. He was forced to go to court a bunch of times. He didn't even have enough time to go, like, the judge didn't even let him go to his one of his grandsons or cousins. I forget what family member specific, but like he couldn't go to the graduation for one of them, and like, which is even more evidence that he was stuck in court and couldn't really run, which is potentially an election interference. I mean, you could call that. Like, that's legitimately interfering with him campaigning. It literally is. There's way more evidence now that that's actually a thing for this election versus the last one. So a lot more people are going to be sympathetic because it's a lot easier to see it now. It's not even a conspiracy theory at this point. The last one was more of a conspiracy theory, but this one is like, it's clear cut. It's been shown all over the news. You saw him get convicted. Like, come on, man.
Stolen from him without any evidence. So unfortunately, again, the Democrat machine to shut Trump down has played right into his hands. But anyway, we've got to leave it there. Brilliant debate. Thank you all so much. Kevin O'Leary, Mark Garagos, Francesca Fiorentini, and Michael Knowles. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sweet. That's it. But yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Yeah, thank you very much. Like and subscribe and comments here too. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something.